All right, good morning, guys. There's something that is bothering me, and I think we need to discuss it. Is it wrong for a man to move into a woman's house?
Is it wrong for a man to move into a woman's house? That's the question that Dr. Shila was asking in that video. And I think it's a very, very interesting question. Um, this is the sort of questions that Oyibo people call loaded question. It's a loaded question because there are no simple answers to that question. Is it wrong for a black Nigerian man to move into a woman's house? In answering the question, there's no simple answer to it. I'm going to look at it from a cultural perspective as well as, Obodo Yibo dimension because we live in a diaspora, right? And I think that question is mainly, targeted to people who live in a diaspora because in Nigeria, most times it's not even a question that you can ask. 99.9 men in Nigeria will never move into a woman's house. All right. Yeah, but there's always the exception. But most times, the cultural dynamics, the way it works is that a man marries a woman into his house. And that is why when they have issues or for whatever reason he's not interested in marriage anymore, he can say, "You will leave my house today. You will leave my house today." Go to your father's house. You must go to your father's house. And we've seen cases when couples are having issues, the man will pack the woman's things or ask her to pack her things and get out of his house. So this is the way it's always been. So from a cultural angle, if you want to look at it, you would say, yes, it is not right for a man to move into a woman's house. However, this question is mainly addressed to the aspirants. So I'm going to look at it from this angle now. In the abroad, the dynamics in this part of the world is completely different. So, for example, if a woman is here already and she's marrying from Nigeria, let's say she's already established, she has her own flat or house or whatever, and the husband is coming to join her. Obviously, it's a no-brainer. The man will have to come into her house because she's already here. So I don't see a man coming from Nigeria for the first time to the abroad. He knows no one and has little money, and then he's going to start looking for a house of his own and telling the woman who is already living and established in that country to move into his house. It won't work. So those of you who are imported husbands, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you probably came into your wife's house as you landed in the abroad. The other aspect to consider in the abroad is that the cost of living in the abroad is very expensive. So if you are looking at it from a financial standpoint, because I see a lot of people on the post on Dr. Shala's page saying, no, don't do it, don't do it. And I completely understand why people will feel that way. And these are both men and women, right? In the abroad, if you are you are a financially literate person who is intelligent financially and you want to manage your resources properly as a couple, then you won't be looking at it from a cultural angle. Now, I see the sentiment where people will say, if you can avoid it, please don't do it. If there are options, don't do it. Don't move into a woman's house. Let me give you another example. You are both in the abroad. The man is renting, for instance, and the woman already has a house, mortgage. If they get into a relationship, are you going to say that the woman who already has a house that she's paying mortgage to should give up the house or sell it or rent it out and go and live with somebody who is renting a place that is probably smaller and continue to pay rent? So from a financial standpoint, that doesn't make sense because rent is very expensive in the abroad. Let me take London as an example. The average flat in London goes for as much as 1,800 or £2,000 a month. And I'm talking about maybe one or two bedroom flats, depending on the area. In some areas, even higher. So if somebody is staying in, most people who are single usually stay in shared accommodation, except they are very, very financially strong. They have really good jobs because if you don't, a chunk of your income will go into paying rent. And we all know that, as black people, we often make these mistakes of helping landlords to pay off their mortgage while we continue to give them money every month. This is where the Asians are smarter than us when it comes to finances. You will see an Asian family, husband, wife, grandmother, uncles, all of them will stay in one house until one by one they will be buying their houses and paying their own mortgage, because when you are paying rent, you are helping the landlord to pay their own mortgage. Now, if a woman is in a relationship with a man who is staying in a shared accommodation and she already has her own mortgage, will it make sense for her to give up her flat to go and stay in that rented room and they continue to pay rent? Or would it not be financially more smarter for them to use that money that he was using to pay rent to pay for the mortgage? Now, I do understand why a lot of Nigerian men will hesitate, you know, to move into a woman's house, especially a certain tribe where people, their ego is always very huge. Nigerian men are generally proud. They like to be the provider, which is beautiful. However, in some circumstances, you need to consider. Now, the reason why a lot of Nigerian men will not want to move into a woman's house is because they don't want that embarrassment that comes with a woman telling a man, leave my house. Or saying, oh, after what I did for you, if not for me, that they don't like that. So as somebody said in that post that I would rather sleep in my car than move into a woman's house. However, I'm just going to say that it depends on the relationship that you have with the person. There are women that they are very, very humble. Okay, their personality is not that even if you have issues, they will start throwing you out, kicking you out, or things like that. So I think it depends on the individuals involved. Okay, because we are not usually in the same place. Sometimes women are in a more financially stronger position than the men that they are dating. A lot of women nowadays will be saying that, I want a man in the same, class, the same financial category, in terms of, if I'm a professional, I want a professional man. If I have a house, I probably want a man that has a house. If I'm driving, I want a man that is driving. It's easier to navigate these things. So if two people are dating, a man and a woman, young people in this part of the world, like our children, they are dating. You have your house, I have my house. That's easy. That's so easy. If both of you already have mortgages, this is what a lot of the young people are doing these days. Most of them have mortgages before they even get married. So what is advisable is that they'll put one of the houses, preferably the woman's own, on rent, and then move into the man's house. So that way they still maintain the two property. But for me, it doesn't make sense. For me personally, I don't think it makes sense for you to be with someone who has a house and then you say you want to continue to pay rent. So I think it all boils down to understanding. The two people need to understand and respect one another. If a woman is disrespectful, then the chances are she's gonna keep putting it on your face that, I did it for you, I did this, use my house, did they leave my house, and things like that. I think it is what men are trying to avoid. That's why they say no. Women are used to being told, leave my house. But you see the irony of this situation. Oyibo people, they are completely different. Oyibo people's situation, if an Oyibo man has a house and he marries a woman into his house, when they're having issues, it is still the Oyibo man that will leave. Once the woman say, I don't want you, they'll just pack their things and go. Or if the woman say, you're not sleeping in the bedroom today, they'll just pack their things and come. They'll just sleep in the couch. They don't see it as anything. They will walk away from the house, or if the woman tells them to go, they will just go, because to them it's the normal thing to do. But Nigerian men are not like that. African men are not used to being told to leave, especially if it's their house. That's why you see a lot of all these people that are being pied because a woman somewhere is telling a man, the house that you bought even before they married you, now because you are in Obodo Yibo, you are telling the man, I want you to leave, and then they call the police, and then it gets very ugly. So there are no simple answers. But when two people are getting together, I think they need to have a discussion. Where are we going to live? If you are getting serious, you are thinking marriage, long-term relationship, where are we going to live? Okay, this is where I live, this is where you live. Which one makes more financial sense? Should we put money together? Maybe sell. If you have a property, I have a property. Should we sell both and buy a bigger house, put money together? I mean, these are discussions that you need to have before settling down with someone. But it's all about finances and being financially smart. A lot of our people are not financially smart. We allow our emotions to take control, and we say, no, I don't want that, I don't want that. Well, cool. You're staying in one room. You want a woman that lives in a whole full house to leave her house to come and stay in one room with you. It doesn't make sense. So we need humility on both sides. We need understanding on both sides, and we also need to be financially literate. But there's nothing wrong at the end of the day in the abroad for a man to live in a house that is owned by a woman, as long as that understanding is there. That, even if we live in this space, it doesn't mean that I'm now the man is now the wife and the woman is now the husband. You still respect that hierarchy, that he's your leader, is the head of the household. Especially if he's paying the bills, if he's able to pay the mortgage, then I don't think there's any problem with it. Yeah, I know some men who have moved into the women they marry, they moved into their houses, and then from there they put money together and now buy bigger houses. They'll now buy a bigger house and they will now move. It's all about, what do you want for yourself? Would you rather be throwing money? I don't think people should be throwing money on rent just because of ego, that I don't want to stay in a woman's house. So if you say the woman is going to disrespect you or she's going to throw you out or whatever, then again, you have the choice to pick the kind of woman that is not likely to do that. I know you can say we never know people until issues happen. Okay, but you look at the big picture. Look at the picture. You're looking at the area that you live in and the area she lives in. You are looking at the cost. Is it cost effective for you to move in? Abroad, it's not easy. Take 800 pounds from your salary or 1,000 to be paying rent for one room in London. You know how it puts a hole on your income. Won't you rather save that 1,000 pounds every month, and it goes into something that both of you can decide to do with it? So it's all about planning. Once you are in the same space, like you have good communication and you are planning, and this is what we want to do, how do we achieve it, how do we save, where do we look at? I think these things it's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's just about the two people that are involved. It doesn't matter where you live. Are you happy? Are you achieving your goals? That's what matters. What do you think? Do you think that the dynamics is the same? Do you agree with the cultural perspective that I brought in about, Nigeria and those of us in the West here? And have you seen any man that's coming from Nigeria, imported husband, and he say, I'm not staying in my wife's house. It's a woman that should come and live with me. Let me know in the comment section. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.